the four traditional houses in the Cayman Islands: the cottage, the cabin, the bungalow, and the mansion. The mansion sometimes referred to as an upstairs house. The first traditional house of the Cayman Islands is the cottage. This was built from mid-1700s to the early 1900s, also known as the Wattle and Daub cottage. The cottage was a hardwood framed building made out of mahogany or hardwood and infilled with wattle and daub plaster. The original cottages were thatch roofed and in later years became shingled roof, and then eventually in the 1900s a corrugated zinc was used for the roofing. Classic cottage, wattle and daub house, in this case Miss Lassie's house in South Sound, beautifully preserved. Bradley Hines house, 1916, originally a grocery store for South Sound, now preserved by the Flowers family, immaculate condition. The second house in the traditional Cayman houses series is the cabin. The cabin started to be seen in the late 1800s, early 1900s. The cabin was a house made from prefabricated lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, and was very easily framed, as you can see in this drawing. The exterior of the cabin was shiplapped out of pre-cut lumber, and there was a profusion of gingerbreading and decorative elements at the time when the fret saw was invented. McCoy's Villa on South Church Street, classic cabin, complete with veranda, immaculately preserved. Built 1894 by Mally Goring, more popularly known now as the Webster House. Classic cabin with veranda. Built 1890 by William Merrin. This is a classic cabin with a veranda all the way across the front. Beautiful gingerbread. Mr. Arthur's house on North Church Street, another classic cabin, and with his store on this side of the street. Next in the series of house types in Cayman is the upstairs house, or some refer to it as the mansion, which appeared in the late 1800s. At the time, in the late 1800s, there was a desire to have bigger houses, so rather than going sideways, the buildings went vertical. So you would have a wattle and daub house with its own roof being extended upwards, and on that upper part it would be framed and finished in a shiplap. A dominant feature of the upstairs house was the staircase on the front, usually in the centre, but quite often you would see it hidden inside the veranda as well. One of the last upstairs houses in Georgetown was built for Bertie Panton in 1932. The upper part of the house is built from lumber that was on the Bilbao, which sank in Georgetown Harbour. The last in the series is the bungalow. The bungalow came about after the First World War, and so through the 1920s there was a profusion of these houses being built in Cayman. A prominent feature is the entrance porch, which is on the short side, not on the long side, as you would have with the other homes that you've just seen. And on the porch were these battered columns. In this particular example on South Church Street, it became a very decorative element, and a porch swing would be included on the front. Cayman Bungalow, South Church Street. Notice the battered columns on the front porch. Fine example of a bungalow house on South Church Street. Note the gable ends, shallow pitched roof.